Okay, so I'm going to have our Vernon Parish folks come on up and take a seat, please. So for the Community Engagement Examples panel, I would like to introduce representatives. Come on up from the Capturing Better Futures team, and they will share their experience of creating a community benefits agreement that reflects the priorities of their community and the priorities of the community members in Vernon Parish, Louisiana. Excellent. And so I am going to have them first introduce themselves and tell, and then we're going to play a little video that shows an example of the project that they created, which is basically putting together an educational opportunity for students as well as job opportunity. And so we are going to go ahead and play that video.
Well, good morning, and I'll go ahead and start. My name is Vernon Travis from Vernon Parish. No correlation there, but yes, I am an elected official from the school board there, and it has been great to have an opportunity to come, especially getting to hear the mayor and the Reverend speak this morning, and our assistant secretary. I've shared the stage with him before, and so we're just honored to be here and to share our story. And we're not going to get into what's right and what's wrong, but what's best for your community.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sherry Tucker, and I'm from CapturePoint. We are a carbon management company. We have our principals who've been doing carbon capture and storage for quite some time. We operate 2 plants already in Kansas, where we capture from an ethanol plant and a fertilizer plant CO2 transported by pipeline and sequester it in connection with enhanced oil recovery. So we have a lot of experience. The reason that we got involved in this project is we are developing a carbon sequestration site in Vernon Parish and Rapides Parish, Louisiana. And I think I have a map, so I can show you where Vernon Parish is, so you can know. It's in the central part of the state. It's in the central part of the state, and our project is called the Central Louisiana Regional Carbon Storage Hub. This is a world-class geologic formation that our geologists discovered a couple of years ago. And it's in those 2 parishes. And this geologic storage site has the potential to store over time permanently over 2 billion metric tons of CO2. It's possibly the largest CO2 site onshore in the United States. We have filed 2 Class 6 permits to enable this storage. It's a very long process through EPA, very complicated. Just so you know some of my background, I've been doing permitting in various areas most of my life. And I will tell you that the EPA Class 6 program is the most strenuous, rigorous, comprehensive, and extensive that I have ever come across. EPA went out of its way in 2010 when it enacted these regulations to protect the American public, and they have done so. Just as an example, our permit term under the regulations is 50 years. That's how long they monitor it. and they retain the discretion unto themselves to make it longer if it's necessary. So we started out buying private land in Vernon Parish. And we knew that this is a rural community. I would call it a poor rural community that faces many challenges. And we knew we were bringing something to them that they might not understand. Forget might, they definitely didn't understand. And so our first job was to talk to elected officials. And beginning in about last November, we started doing that. We went to in Louisiana, the county commissioners are called police jurors. Don't ask me why, that's what they're called. So we briefed the police jurors and the rural water district so we could ensure to them that their drinking water would be safe. And oh, by the way, we're injecting CO2 at least a mile underground. We're way below their drinking water. But when we went to visit with them, we took slides showing the geology of the area and how we were going to do it and how their water would be protected. That was our first step, to go to them. And it was also a way for us to understand the community. We knew we wanted to do something for the community because in my background in permitting, I learned long ago that everyone has what I call a WRFM. What's in it for me? And you always have to look at that. And you have to figure out what is the WRFM. And everybody's going to have a different one. And it's going to be based on their community. So during this process, I went to a conference at the Great Plains Institute. I believe Matt Fry is here. He put it on. His group put it on. And it was there that I met the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. And got engaged in conversations with them because they really would like to have an agreement with us so that we use union labor in building our pipelines and doing the air capture at the facilities that we're using. And it was through them that I learned that they had this terrific program called Career and Technical Education that they had developed that was used in high schools. And it's to provide training for juniors and seniors who don't want to go to college but would like to have a career in a trade. Not just a job, but a career. And through this program, the juniors and the seniors who participate, when they graduate, if they want to, they can become second-year apprentices with the union, and they're guaranteed in this area of the country, at the age of 18, $18 an hour, I think it's $19 an hour, plus benefits, plus a 401k. And I thought, well, this is interesting, and this is something we need to know about. It might be useful. And then in last January, I was forced to go to an event that's held annually in Washington, D.C. called Washington Mardi Gras. And if you've never heard of it, this is what happens. The political and governmental establishment of Louisiana decamps to the Washington Hilton in Washington, D.C. at the end of January and has a bunch of receptions. So I went. And it was there at Senator Reese's reception that I met Vernon Travis. He was introduced to me as the school board member. And I said, would you be interested in career and technical education? And he said, yes, ma'am. And I want it by August 22, 2023 in our schools. And I said, well, that's rather ambitious. So I got together with the local union, Lance Alvin. Sorry he can't be here today, but you'll see him on the screen. And said, Lance, do you think you can do this with us? And he said, yes, we have the program. We're really going to have to move. And Vernon Travis made it quite clear that we had a schedule that we had to follow in order to get this in place in the schools. And by May of 25, we had executed a memorandum of understanding to make this happen. Now, one of the things I want you all to know is there was no government money involved in this at all. This was all CapturePoint, the school board, and the union. And we did it because we thought we were doing the right thing. And we wanted to do the right thing. And it was quite clear to us in March of that year, we put in a strat test well in Vernon Parish that you have to do as part of your EPA program. And we discovered that people wanted to come see it. So the police jurors came to see it. One of the candidates running for governor came to see it. Vernon came to see it. The superintendent came to see it. And I'll never forget, because when the police jurors came in, Vernon was sitting there, and he said, oh, the school board's here. I said, yes, we're discussing career technical education. And they went, oh, we want that. And that was the first time they just said, we want that. And it was at that moment that I saw that the local community started to support what we were doing. And it just built upon itself. And I'll let Vernon tell you the rest of the story, because he has his own particular viewpoint on it. But the simple answer is it worked. These students entered the classes on August 22, 2023, in their classroom. The workshop is being built by the UA. It's going to open in December, and we're going to have the ribbon cutting on January 31, and you're all welcome to come and see it and see the students, and you'll see the students in the video. And with that, I'll turn it over to Vernon.
Great. So we are going to play a video from one of Vernon's colleagues at the school board who couldn't make it, Lisa Lohman.
Why don't you do that after Vernon talks?
Okay.
It's up to you.
Well, no, go for it.
Okay, well, I always like, and I call Lisa Batman, and I'm her Robin, because she is our CTE director, and she is the one that I really had to sell this to, but it didn't take long, because once she understood that there was certifications for students, it became automatic for her. And one of the things that and I'm going to go back to the story first, but, I had written a speech, but after listening to the mayor and the reverend yesterday, I had to change it. So I decided not to use what I wrote, because I wanted to get to what they were addressing and how it impacted Vernon Parish and how it will impact every community that follows this blueprint. And it's very simple. But first, in Marty, meeting Sherry in D.C. was not planned on my part, but planned on her part and Senator Reese. And Senator Reese is one of our state representatives, and I grew up with him, I know him personally, and so he understood that I would be the guy for the parish and to be the liaison. And that's the critical part here, and that's what I want to talk about, the communities. I'm going to just throw this in real quick. When the communities are coming together, you need one liaison, one, that can get the whole elected group of officials in that community together. You can't have 25 elected officials spearheading it. It needs to be one that can speak for the community, speak with the locals, and bring them together. And that's what I had to do once we decided we were going to do this. I went back and I re-engaged, and you'll hear from Lisa because she was like me. She had no clue what carbon capture and sequestration was. We knew that it was an opportunity that we could put in our schools for kids to train those skills. And that's what you have to look for when you have industries coming into your community. What skill sets, and I heard the mayor, I think, or the pastor say about these high-end jobs. Those are good. Those are good. But those are only a small number of jobs that these industries have. But the industries have, and you guys all know, hard skill sets that need to be trained or taught or needed. And we're looking at our unemployment rate. We got signs everywhere that says hiring now, but nobody is saying training now. And that's what I saw, an opportunity to have CapturePoint in the union come in and train these hard skills for our community. And now what does that do? And she said, we're a poor community, and I say poor in the sense of, we don't have big industries, big companies, and all those things there. So what I see in my community, like many of our communities, they're dying. They're dying because our kids are graduating, and people like me aren't having any more. And so those kids graduate, what do? Yeah, Mayor, they come to Houston. Okay, yeah, they come to Houston. And guess what that leaves me with? A dying community, because I have nothing. I have nothing to hold them there. This opportunity now tells me that we have 30 kids in this class. 15 of them will be seniors this year. Those 15, when they start to work at the union, I think she said $18 an hour. I think if you hear, it's somewhere like $60 an hour. They graduate from high school, start their apprenticeship, and they immediately start making that. And I'm telling you right now, if you hear my kids right now, this is what they're talking about. Man, I can't wait to get that new gun. Man, I can't wait to get that new truck. So what have we given them that they didn't have? Hope. And without hope, our kids end up in prison, on drugs, in crimes. But once you give them hope and a goal, it's on, game on. You got to hold them back. Now we have kids in line already saying, our parents, Mr. Travis, we voted for you. Yeah, thank you. Well, my son or my daughter wants to be in that program, so we want to make sure you get them in there. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. But Miss Lohman, who I made sure became the point on selecting kids, so it took the political aspect out of that selection process. Now, would I like every one of them to be in there? Of course I would. Can we do it right now? No, it's not large enough. But as we grow, it's going to come. And so that's what I'm going to say about the communities. Engagement, I'm going to go back to, I think the mayor and the pastor said this. We talk about the table. What is the table? Anybody? I want to take a shot at the table. It's not a trick question. Excuse me? Decisions are made. Okay. So I think it's, the pastor says, you're either what? At the table, on the menu. Well, I'm going to change that for you, Pastor, because your community is the table. You're the head of the table. And if you're allowing yourself to become on the menu, that's on you. Because anybody coming into your community should be working through your community organizations. And they're getting either on the menu or on the table. And I think if you look at it from that perspective, you'll be much further ahead. But now I am biased in all this because I think children, for me, that's my fight in life now. For the last 17 years, I've been on the school board. And I'm going to fight for those guys. I don't care, and I don't mean it this way, really. I do care about everybody. But if you are an adult and you don't want to go get the skills to get the job that's required in your community, then you are failing your community. But I'm going to say, I'll come back to you in just a second, ma'am. I'm going to say that if you take these high school kids, every company should find a way now to train their own employable groups. Don't wait on somebody else to train them and then for you to try to get them. Go into these high schools, train them. You know how many kids you drop out today? Almost 20% of high school kids drop out. Why? Lack of hope. They don't see a future. And they're going to get this $8, $9 jobs. Why? Because we in the school system, and I'm to blame for that, I'm failing to give them the training they need on the skill sets that they need to become your employees. But you're failing them because you're not coming in, you're offering me $1 million to build a building in my community. Well, once that's built, it's over with. But if you come in and tell me you're going to train my kids from today, tomorrow, and on, and on, and on, and on, you are forever paying me something. And you can't stop paying me. So that's my part on that. Yes, ma'am, you want to take that question?
Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to come up here so you can see me. I'm here with my son who's homeschooling. He is 10 years old. I represent the Sunrise Movement Houston Hub. They are a youth leadership organization. I'm the only one here today from that group because they are at school. And I have to say to you that you are selling out our children if you believe that they are to be made, their raw materials to be made into some sort of employees for companies. Okay? I'm going to read this very small piece from a speech that was given by Mario Salvo at UC Berkeley a long time ago. When the students walked out, they said, "Well, I ask you to consider if this is a firm, and if the Board of Regents are the Board of Directors, and if President Kerr, in fact, is the manager, then I tell you something. The faculty are a bunch of employees, and we're the raw material. But we're a bunch of employees, we're a bunch of raw materials that don't mean to have any process upon us, don't mean to be made into any product, don't mean to end up being bought by some clients of the university. Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone. We're human beings. So if they were actually at the table, they would be here to say that to you, but I have to say that to you as a mom and as a single parent. I'm a universal basic income advocate, and I advocate for everybody to have a passive income that is not extracting their labor from them so that some industry can say, we did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And yes, ma'am, I mean, I understand your point, but since we formed education in this country, it has been to educate our kids for the future, period. And for us to have a future, we have to have educated and trained individuals, whether they choose to self-employ, whether they choose to hire to someone. But in this country, we are always going to have to depend on the workforce. And the workforce is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about creating raw labor just for anybody. I'm talking about giving everybody an opportunity for skills that they can use. I mean, I was in the Army, and I had the desire to be a general. I was going to be an infantry commander, and all of those things. I didn't get any of that because I chose to be, I didn't choose. When I went for promotion, they moved me to military intelligence because that was the need of the Army. And that's what we have to look for in our students. the need of your community, the need of your state, the need of this country. And if we don't provide that to our kids today, we have no tomorrow. We're going to end. And this carbon capture situation is key. And like I had to tell Miss Sherry and some others, if we don't take these kids today and train them, we will not be able to bridge over into the future. We're going to die. It's not going to be Vernon Parish, a dying community. It's going to be the United States of America, a dying country. And that's what I'm looking and preaching to teachers, students, and everyone, and parents. Train your kids so that they would have a skill set. And I think my time is up here. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comment, ma'am. Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our speakers. I think that is a great point to show and something that we'll be discussing in one of our breakout sessions, sort of the costs and benefits of carbon management, that you have to weigh those, because certainly we live in a capitalistic society. People need to be trained. They need jobs. We rely on energy and pipelines, and people need to know how to do that stuff. At the same time, nobody should be just a commodity. We're people. Everyone deserves respect and hope. And so I really appreciate what you said here. Thank you. And I really appreciate what you guys all said. And each community is going to have different needs and different wants. And so that's a key piece of this.